Hello to our friends in Asia.
Welcome to Friends Around the World.
Hello, Asia.
Hello, this is Fumiko Konoye.
And I'm Risa Shimizu.
On the final week of every month, we bring you a show focusing on Asia. Today, we have in our studio an American performing artist who has blended Japanese and Indian music in his own way.
Tim M Hoffman uses Japanese musical instruments and poetry to perform Indian classical music, creating a whole new world of music and sound. So please stay tuned.
Thank you for tuning in to Friends Around the World. Hello, Asia.
We are so pleased to introduce T M Hoffman. Thank you for coming in today.
My pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is ours.
Yes.
Now, you've combined Japanese and Indian cultures in your own unique way. Can you first recite a short Japanese verse along with your Indian classical music?
Let's begin with short sung and played segments from a famous 9th century 31-syllable tanka, from which the shorter 17-syllable haiku form evolved in the 17th century. I accompany myself on a 13-stringed Japanese koto instrument, using fingers, small wooden hammers, a cello bow, and the plectra on the fingers. So first I'll recite tanka by Sugawara Michizane, along with the free rhythm section introduction by the koto, which is called alap. Kochi fukaba, niyoi o kose yo, ume no hana, aruji nashi tote, haru na wasure so. Then comes a short improvised melody using just the first 2 lines of text along with 6-beat tala, Indian rhythm cycle, on the drum tabla. And that's ending with the Hindi translation of those 2 lines.
You mentioned haiku, the combination of the world's shortest form of fixed verse poetry and Indian traditional music. You mentioned that haiku has 17 syllables. Can we listen to that as well?
Okay, sure. Let's have 2 short clips from 2 separate autumn season haiku. The first one using the Indian raga gunkali, like the Japanese scale that you hear in the famous song Sakura. And this will be sung in Japanese by my vocal guru, the late Pandit Ganesh Prasad Mishra of Benares, India. First there will be the haiku by Matsuo Basho. The haiku goes, Kono michi ya iku hito nashi ni aki no kure. At the very start, you will hear michi, michi. So the rising sound there is the meaning for road, and the falling is for the meaning for unknown.
Michi, michi, ya, kono mi, mapa da, pada sa, されさままれささざざぱだだぱまぱまれさこの道や
Last, another haiku sung in the most popular Indian raga Bhairavi, in the most popular tala trital of 16 beats. It begins with sargam, which is the solfeggio, sa re ga ma pa da ni. He'll be singing ma pa da pa, something like this. Then the first line of the haiku will end the performance of this, and the first line of that haiku is Aki no Sora.
sa ga ni da pa ma ga ma ga re sa ga ma pa ma ga ma ga re sa aki no sora aki no sora sa re ni sa ga ni pa da ma pa ga ma ga re sa ma pa ga ma ga re sa ma pa ga ma ga re sa aki no sora aki no sa re ni sa ga ni pa da ma pa ga ma ga re sa ma pa ga ma ga re sa ma pa ga ma ga re sa aki no sora aki no sora aki no sa re ni sa ga ni pa da ma pa ga ma ga re sa ma pa ga ma ga re sa ma pa ga ma ga re sa aki no sora aki no sora aki no sora
Well, from what we've just listened, it seems you're paying full heed to the existing rules or formats of Indian classical music, and you've taken an Asian crossover approach, and you have actually proven that it works. You have definitely convinced us.
Definitely. And so why do you think tanka and haiku and Indian music go together so well? As Fumiko just said, it just works.
Well, Japanese and Indian languages, first of all, when we're using the poetry, Japanese and Indian languages are both polysyllabic, and they have long and short vowel distinctions, similar syntax. So the utterances in the speech are actually running parallel to each other.
Interesting.
Very.
This is opposite to English and Chinese. Those things are, for example, monosyllabic, and instead of long and short, they're strong and weak, or high and low especially. And the order of the word is different. So in the music, then, the melody plus rhythm combination does not require the addition of Western-style harmony. So much more melodic variety is possible. And then in haiku, for example, 5 plus 7 plus 5 syllables, making 17. This is like the tala, the Indian rhythmic forms of adding different numbers to make rhythm cycles.
Oh. Was this how it all began? Did you develop an interest in Japanese and Indian music, were you aware of anything about Japan or India before you seriously started pursuing music?
I began piano from age 6, and then pursued Western music theory and composition in university, and became interested in improvisation. India is famous for improvisation in melody and rhythm, and Japanese instruments are very flexible for this. I gradually learned about Asia through school studies, and decided to study in Japan and India after finishing university in California.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. So what did you think of using Japanese instruments for Indian music? You are an American, you could have chosen any Western instrument, or could have chosen Western classical strains for Japanese instruments.
Well, why try to play tennis with a baseball bat?
True.
All instruments in the world, you find, have inbuilt strengths and limitations, and very few Western instruments are so fully compatible with Indian or Japanese music. In 1992, my Japanese flute shakuhachi was authenticated in India as an instrument of Indian classical music, and the 13-string koto instrument, as we have used it, has been called the most versatile instrument for Indian music.
Is that true?
Yes, indeed. And so this is a demonstration of Japanese hardware plus Indian software. The hardware being the instrument, the software being the sound and the theories that put that together. It's a perfect combination. Western instruments like piano and guitar are designed for harmony, while most Asian instruments are capable of the subtle variations in melody to produce many more scales and even include microtones.
You're listening to Friends Around the World. Hello, Asia. We've been talking to T M Hoffman, an American musician who has combined Japanese and Indian music, creating a whole new world of music and sound.
Now, we'd like to listen to your shakuhachi, or Japanese flute. Can you first explain the characteristics of a shakuhachi?
Well, it's a vertical flute of heavy bamboo, has 5 finger holes and a sharp edge to blow on. If you change the blowing angle and also cover the holes to different variations, you can vary the pitch. Now, please listen to short segments from our CD Integral Asia, featuring Indian, Japanese, and one American musician in what we call Asian classical crossover music. This is not fusion, which is operation with no specific rules. For this music follows the classical style of India, and only traditional Japanese and Indian instruments are used in the mix.
Great.
Is Raga Marva in Trital, the 16-beat rhythm cycle, a short sample of that performance. Next, this raga Jayajavanti. This will be comprised of alap, which is the free rhythm introduction, which is a free rhythm prelude, you can say. And then it's followed by Rupaktal, a 7-beat rhythm cycle, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm beating this actually on the shakuhachi with my hand, so this instrument also is 2 instruments in one.
Yes, so interesting.
Now, what has been the biggest challenge you faced in collaborating Japanese and Indian music? How did you overcome that?
So, challenges are of many kinds. Some of them are seen, some are unseen. While the Indo-Japanese collaboration itself has been totally natural and has never been tried to this extent in music and language. So, the physical challenge was carrying the koto and shakuhachi and equipment
Sure.
all over India in the hot sun and rain, whatever happened to be there. I became accustomed to that, of course, after the rigors of the road, then here in Japan, where the eye rules, people see a Western person and a Japanese instrument and would not be prepared to hear yet another culture's music. While Indians tend to hear the music first and later notice the persons and objects involved. In Japanese culture, the eye and hand, in other words, the visual and tactile senses, work so well in producing quality concrete products like automobiles and other things, while Indian culture gives prominence to the voice and ear, the aural sense, which cannot be seen, which links with abstract skills such as improvisation in mathematics, music, other pursuits.
And obviously you've performed in Japan, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan and elsewhere. I'm sure you get different reactions. What do people say about your performance?
It's been very positive, the response. I'm very happy to hear that. In the newspaper, for example, in India, Japanese poetry matching Benares vocal style. Or another example, his passion for music is of a different kind, broader and multidimensional. In Pakistan, the flutist who makes men's minds float. This is the headline. And in Singapore discovered the pure synthesis between Indian ragas and Japanese music. And in USA, unique India-Japan crossover, loved it, etc.
Sounds very, very positive. And I know this is a big question, but what do you want to express through your music, and what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, rather than composing, improvisation is the style of India, and this allows coherent creativity within the performance. Besides sharing the beauty and other emotions of the music and instruments, my broader objective is to help develop the ear in Japan through strategies developed through experience with India and other cultures having highly developed traditional sound systems. The ideal of trade and commerce is to give and take for mutual benefit of the two parties, Japanese eye to India and the Indian ear to Japan. In other words, Japanese hardware, Indian software.
Through an American engineer.
I just happen to notice these things.
Well, another big question actually. What are your plans and what are your dreams?
Plans are always fluid. Go back to India for some more activity early 2018, and back here continue with some work. My dream has long been to be of service to Japan, especially in the world of sound, both music and language. So if you could please see our Indo-Japanese Music Exchange Association website at www.ijmea.com. You can get some clues as to what sort of drives this project that many people are involved in. We have so many people to be grateful to, including yourselves today.
Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thoroughly enjoyed being with you today.
An absolute treat for us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you all. It's my pleasure.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's Friends Around the World. Hello, Asia.
Please send us your messages and song requests by mail or via our website at nhk.jp/rj. This is Risa
This is Fumiko.
And this is Tim.
saying goodbye and thank you for listening. Sayonara.